All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Welcome to NHK, episode 14. Okay, wow, that was a heavy episode, last one. And,
just a little bit.
And oh my god,
Yeah.
I loved it so much. We are in a very specific place in the story for the characters of Sato and Misaki,
Yes.
who have both now, I would say, expressed a huge amount of emotion that was previously locked away inside them.
Yep.
And now we're going to have to process what kind of stuff do we talk about after this?
Yep.
Is there going to be a better connection, or in some ways a worse connection between these two characters? It's going to be complicated. It's going to be messy. But I think it's important for them on an individual level, like for each of them, because they're willing to admit it, and there were a lot of other people there that weren't them. So
that's true.
That aspect of it being out in the open,
and
it not being something that they've hidden is really powerful.
Because it's not just them being honest about it with the other person; it's about them being honest about it with themselves. Right, and accepting or understanding that part of themselves exists. Yep. And dealing with it out here rather than just all inside. Yeah. So.
And thankfully, Hitomi is going to be okay.
Yep. And getting married, apparently.
Yeah. I like how this show constantly throws us on a loop for how all the side characters in our main characters' lives are actually decent people.
Yeah.
Like, there's this perspective we constantly get thrown into where the main characters will be like, oh, my mom is this... terrifying person. No, she's amazing. Yeah. Her mom's amazing. And then Hitomi's like, oh, my boyfriend is this horrible person.
Yeah.
No, he's actually a pretty decent guy.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a workaholic.
Yes.
He's got his problems.
And you guys can definitely talk about that,
But I think you can solve them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then all the people who are at the island
might be an addition to the cast.
Actually, like some pretty decent people and stuff. And I liked how it was not Hitomi or Sato that at the end broke the tension of them all about to leap off the cliff with just the I can't do this. The fear set in, but also the empathy surrounding his grandma being someone that he doesn't want to have suffer like this. So got into some really good heavy stuff, and now the next episode. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
Yes.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Sato set the ball in motion.
Yep.
Awesome. Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Well, that's some...
So, okay.
That's some,
one battle won, another rears its ugly head, yeah.
Yep.
And he just punches the sand.
What the hell, Sato? He doesn't want to admit it.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the approach he's going. Closing back up again. Sato!
Do you think we should help the others get
They got another boat. They have another boat.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, they could just be.
Yeah.
Oh. But you're not tired.
Yeah.
Is it because you're tense? I think it's that he's afraid now. And, when you're in your survival instincts, you can't help but like have little shots of adrenaline going.
Sure.
So he's just like, I need to get out of this situation. I don't like it here. New character, who dis?
Is this like the butler of Minagishi or something?
A hot spring bath and relax a bit. What a cool guy!
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully this isn't just like some, I mean, I don't know why I'm assuming the worst, but the conspiracy aspect of this show has me like, it's like they end up like meeting like individual counselors and stuff, you know?
Yeah, because Yamazaki didn't go either.
Uh-huh. Yeah. How much things can change though, yeah. Oh. Yep. Yeah, fools. This is their counselor, literally. He set this up, yeah. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
自分の都合だけで命を捨てて他人に迷惑をかけるアホどもの愚かしさが分かったかい。こりゃ昔アホだったものからの忠告だ。
Oh, yep. This guy's totally a... Yep. He's a professional. He's like, this is my life goal now because... Oh, and 6 plates. Oh.
まったく女の方がタフだな。
野村様、草野様、ご家族の方が見えてますけど。
Oh my gosh.
That'll be
秀人。病院のことはあなたが心配しなくていいの。お父さんに任せておけばいい。医者になれないからって。
Oh, that'll hit you hard.
なんでこんなバカなことを。私にすべての非があります。申し訳ありませんでした。
Wow, taking responsibility for this.
Yeah, 'cause he probably organized it online.
僕が悪いんだ。
But imagine, you know, Sato. No one's gonna be coming here for him, you know.
Oh boy.
Well, actually, his mom might, but it depends on whether or not he gave all of his info out, you know.
すげえ久しぶりにおふくろと話をしてようやく分かったんだ。
Wow.
悲しむ人間がいる間は死んじゃダメだ。
よかったら
Oh.
これ。
なんだこれ。
アルティメットファンタジー。オンラインゲームの無料パスです。このゲームでものすごいお金を稼ぐ。
Oh, like selling in-game items and stuff. Yeah, that's a huge... Yeah.
その人は RMT。
Wait.
リアルマネートレードをやってるんです。
So,
ゲームの中で手に
Okay, gotcha.
実際のお金で
It might be illegal, but it's probably legal.
ビナテーロ。
Setting up the next story arc.
yeah.
ビナテーロで会いましょう。
Oh, yeah, because he plays too, yeah.
それじゃ
俺もぼちぼち行くわ。
Is he gonna thank him? Yeah.
もう会うこともないだろうが元気だな。
あんたも。
We kind of acknowledged him, but yeah. I think it was they both had their ways of thanking him. Yeah, this...
そろそろ出よう。
山崎とその
山崎くんなら何か大事な用があるとかで。
あ
He's at the con! He's at the con!
なんで体験版で3000も取るんだよ。
Oh!
バカじゃねえの。
多分帰ったんだと思うが。
Yeah.
あいつのことは。
Liar! Liar!
佐藤くん。
Yeah, good.
本当にごめんなさい。
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
佐藤くんま
Yeah,
で
you.
こんなことに巻き込んでしまって。
いいんすよ。気にしないでください。お幸せに。先輩。
Is he smart enough to realize what was going on?
I think so.
Yeah. The sadness guitar.
駅まで送ろう。
誠。
No way.
What?
His son.
Oh. Oh my gosh. No way. No. That's why they prepped us with the sadness guitar. I thought that was the other kid. I thought it was the third person of the off meeting, but then he's really smaller. It's like, oh. There's her house on the hill, you know, looking down on you. Oh. Okay. Cool. Oh my god. Jeez, Yamazawa.
Wow.
夏コミの客があんなバカばっかりとは思いませんでしたよ。完成すれば名作になるってことぐらいわかんねえのかよ。
500, yeah.
初日に行けなかったのが痛かった。
いつもの時間にいつもの場所で待っています。
Okay. It's all he's thinking about right now. Yep.
一緒に花火を見に行きませんか？きっといい方向に転がると思うよ。
Good.
It's 30 minutes late, 31 minutes late, but actually, no. Was it 8:30 or 8 that they usually met?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
来たぞ。
契約書のコピーです。罰金100万円払ってもらいます。
おい、お前な。
とはいえ、私も佐藤君に対し自分の家を秘密にしていました。ちょっと反省しています。
Yeah, it's in the shot. Yep.
何勝手に決めてんだよ。
佐藤君が帰ってきてくれておかえりなさい。
ただいま。
Nice. You feed the cat and it will return.
もしもし。
もしもし、達弘？
ああ、母さん、どうしたの？オフ会の件で連絡でも入ったか？
We'll see.
何暗い声出してるんだよ。母さんらしくないぜ。俺の方はバリバリ元気だぜ。
落ち着いて聞いてね。
ああ。
実はね。
She's sick?
え？よく聞こえないんだけど。
Oh, come on, Joe! Why are you doing this?
No way.
No, the
Come
classic.
on.
Oh no, that's
But
not
we had the
possible.
cliffhangers last episode.
She's dying. It's gonna be that. She's dying. Okay. Well, yeah, processing this stuff is complicated.
Yep.
I also find it kind of refreshing that even though they didn't actually process it as much, it's that they are trying to make their kind of, I would say, more self-conscious steps to try and, like, act like they can just move on, you know?
Yeah.
Even though the questions and the problems are still there, I feel like that's just more realistic. People wouldn't necessarily be like, okay, I'm going to dump everything and just give you all the answers and understanding of me and what have you. If anything, we just got teasing of more that Misaki might have had someone in her life that was physically abusive. And more like definitely had someone in her life that was physically abusive. Oh. All right. Yeah.
All right.
We have a lot of pain in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot of wholesomeness in this episode. And a lot of real stuff that you got to get through in this with the families.
Yeah.
With the processing, with the like, inner healing, the stuff of realizing how stupid like they were being, or more so how selfish.
Right.
There's so much to unpack here because they're taking, I would say, this rather seriously as a show, just making sure that we go through like the multiple stages of dealing with it. But,
and just because they both had an emotional outburst together doesn't mean that everything is smooth sailing between Sato and Misaki from here on out. And that's good. And now that I think about it, even though they reestablished the whole thing of the contract and all that stuff,
right,
with dropping, quite clearly that Misaki has some issues with, say, physical abuse and things like that. It's essentially a way that they could turn the tables so that if the first half was focused on Sato, the second half could have not necessarily be completely focused because Sato's still the main character, but could potentially focus on Misaki a bit more. Now, the fact that the relationship between them is still really rocky, I get that because they're like, because one, we can't have a happy ending till 24 episodes or whatever, but also because she, Sato can't just forget, right? And I feel like a lot of that also probably comes from his own kind of, I don't know, self-hatred or like
forget.
Well, yeah, or rather, he can't move past the hurt that he has, because of the fact that, say, she was spying on him and things like that. Because I was pretty surprised by, and I think you were too, when he almost like hit her, like a couple times, and had to stop himself at the beach.
Yeah, it felt like they were. Yeah,
and maybe that's something where, because the words that she used were talking about how he was pathetic and all that stuff, but that almost seemed like it was done for comedy in the previous episode of like these sort of disasters of people that are sort of there for each other,
sure,
but
okay, I think the big thing with them is that their relationship was sundered a bit because of trust.
Right.
Trust was broken, and in a lot of ways she has been pulling the wool over his eyes, basically like having a perspective on him that allows her to look down on him and treat him less. And the thing is that she is actually, I would say, a pretty decent person when it comes down to it, but she's doing some weird stuff, and her words of why he shouldn't die were very heartfelt. But I think that it's a thing of where you look at them and they are not as they're not as wholesome as you'd like to have talking someone down off a cliff.
And probably the main reason for that is because the follow-up line wasn't said. You can't die because then what hope is there for me?
But she did say that worthless trash, as you're I'm even more of trash than you, basically is making this a selfish thing. It is about her, not actually about Sato.
Right.
And the reason why he shouldn't die is for her sake, which, while I would say that is rather wholesome,
that is
the context of it makes it, I would say, it ruins its potential a little bit.
Well, and in a lot of ways, like if you're talking someone down from a cliff, you kind of have to use selfish motivations because it's not because they clearly don't care about themselves at that point. So you say, well, do you care about me?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
This will hurt me. I need you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's very much the case. But there are ways that you can contrast it with the way the boyfriend even did this for Hitomi.
Sure.
Whereas he went literally for the love relationship that they had between each other.
Right.
And started making promises about the future. Whereas Misaki went to the past, basically, and went to basically like, hey, I understand you're more pathetic than a stray dog, but like, if this is where you end up basically, and I'm, you know, even worse than you, then, you know, I need you to live for my sake. And I like that. I need you to live basically like you have to live. You have to live. That's what in some ways I think broke this whole thing for him, was that she declared with, you know, emotion and everything how much she desperately needs him. And that is enough for a lot of people. I would say that is definitely enough. And I would say that was enough for Sato to, you know, cry out in agony and scream and let all that emotion out. But
right,
I don't. Yeah,
the relationship hasn't been healed yet.
The relationship has not been healed yet. Yeah, exactly.
And the, you know, it's one of those things where I was hoping that it would, not that it would because of those things there, but because of the things that were said there in that moment there, then they would actually have the reconciliation afterwards, have that conversation, and, you know, and that's when things would be patched up, right?
Yeah, I think their wisdom scores are a bit too low for that kind of conversation.
And in a lot of ways, because each of them kind of held back in a way, you know, in such an intense moment as that. How much more so are they going to hold back when it's not in an intense moment, right?
Yeah. I also think it's very interesting that they drew the contrast, like, intentionally, of where all these people showed up for the other three members of the off meeting.
Yeah.
So even the kid of the older one showed up and was like, "Hey, Mom wants to give this a second shot." It's like, oh my gosh. Even, like, you know, split families are coming back together. There's all this wholesomeness and all these things of people coming here for them. But Yamazaki went to the comic stall. Okay. I think in some ways that makes a little bit of sense, because he did show up for the whole thing. He came in a boat and everything to make this happen and stuff. But he had plans. I think Sato took that a little bit personally, though. Like, it was something where it was more of a... I think it was more played in the shows kind of thing as a comedy thing, because then we see him trying to sell the trial version of the game for 3,000 yen, and we go, ha 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 ha, you know. But it's still a thing of like, oh, that game is more important than me. Oh, okay. That's something he literally said. So then we have Misaki, who disappeared because in some ways she had just been really vulnerable. So I would say she was feeling a little bit self-conscious and a little bit like, I'm not wanting to be involved in any more awkward things.
And Sato had made it clear that he didn't really want to be around her. When he almost hit her multiple times.
Oh my God! Yes, yes. Thank you. Know, yes, great point. So he pushed her away at that moment because you know, he's angry that he was exposed in a way like this to a lot of other people.
And in a lot of ways, he it's pushing her away, but he's not pushing her away in an absolute sense. He's doing something that he's venting his frustrations and his emotions and things like that, and handling it in his own way. But he probably wouldn't necessarily be thinking that would be something that would absolutely 100% push her away. Oh, but surprise, you don't know her past. And seeing that literally triggered something. And she's like, yeah, nope, I'm, yeah. So.
Yeah, very good point. So, she leaves a note. His door. Which in some ways might be a smart thing to do, rather than going up to him directly, you know? Let him kind of see this, let it kind of smooth things over.
Put the ball in his court.
Yeah, so that by the time he does get there, you know, he kind of is thinking about that. And
because it gives him the choice of whether or not he wants to have this conversation, right? And at the same time, it also makes a lot of sense for Misaki, because if she's worried that he's mad enough at her to hit her, she doesn't want to give that message to him in person.
Oh
boy, this is.
I thought there were a lot of really sweet moments. I was very surprised by Minagishi's having his kid come up there and kind of be like just hiding in the parking lot, basically. But the little bits of realization from the other members of the off meeting that, oh, if that campfire hadn't have been built.
Yep.
Whoa. I didn't even make that connection. I drew basically the bit there that he was giving it a good shot, but it didn't really do anything in the long run. But because they ended up thinking about the good things of life, because they started to reflect just a little bit,
right? And
Minigishi brought up the idea that it's so easy to be blinded to other perspectives on things when you're dead set focused on one thing. And in a positive sense, if you're like driving forward to do like something simple, you know, cutting out all the other stuff to be focused in that moment is good. It's kind of like how they were trying to focus on the Eroge and be like, okay, we'll just make this game and do it as fast as possible.
Right.
A lot of cool things can come from that.
Yeah.
But when you're in a bad way, when you're in a bad perspective where you're thinking about self-destructive things and things are going in this, you know, way there, it's really hard to get out of it.
Yep.
And that fits perfectly well with what Sato has been going through his entire like post-high school life.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anyone there to bounce off his dynamic and then add a different perspective into things until now.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and because of where he's at as a person and where the other people are at as people, you know, and communication and all that stuff, it's not really, you know, set to happen.
Yep.
And on the one hand, there's the part of me that's like, ugh, this feels like backpedaling melodrama because the show's not over yet, right? There's another core. But then at the same time, no, it absolutely makes sense that the characters would be here. And the things that the characters do that they don't necessarily think would have a big impact, right? Do.
Yeah.
So
I like also that this little bit here in the episode set up potentially a whole new arc of story.
Oh, yeah.
Yamazaki, okay, I don't think Yamazaki is going to be out of the show because Yamazaki came back and he brought beer and he's you know, he's more ranting at the comic stall people, not at Sato for
his other people in his class and everything, and giving me cold stares and
Well, actually, no, he did kind of rant at Sato a little bit. Let me bring that part up in the episode, because that was something I legitimately was worried, like, wait, are they gonna axe Yamazaki a bit from the story so that they can go focus on the video game? Yeah, there was no reason to serve so much crap on the day of the comic stall. He is not listening to him. The idiots in my class are giving me cold stares, too. I've had enough. Well, I've had enough feels rather final. And he's thinking about Misaki.
Yeah, but he's still thinking about our game's gonna be awesome.
Right, that's right. And then when he leaves, he's like, hey, wait, where are you going? Like, but that's also, I'd say, Yamazaki's problem. Is his personality is quite abrasive and not very fun to be around in general.
But what are you talking about? But Yamazaki's a nice guy.
What I like here is that it sets up a whole new angle of the story.
Yes.
Where they can play a game, do a hikikomori kind of thing.
Yep.
Have it be a way that does make money potentially for Sato. But it also sets up another entirely different set of problems, because I am someone who spent way too much time in MMOs as a kid, so I know exactly what kind of kind of problems you can run into in terms of a story surrounding this.
Especially when you're trying to be productive, so like, you know, finishing the
game
while Sato's playing an MMO and trying to grind out golden items and things like that.
Sato's done a little bit of work on the game, but like it's mostly Yamazaki. I mean, he wrote some stuff.
He does the writing. The writing's very important, but yeah.
Like this is like, if I'm being generous, I would say this is like 90% Yamazaki's game. Like,
I think that's a bit more than.
Okay, maybe I'm being maybe I'm being the opposite of generous. Maybe I'm a bit stingy here. Maybe if I'm being generous, it's more like 75%. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
But hey, we end up catching like 2 seconds of the teaser before I close the video. and they're gonna show probably what it looks like or feels like in game, which is, I love those perspectives a lot of times, because then you can end up in silly situations where you have gaming terms and stuff like that, and then the UI can pop up on screen and stuff like that, and I just love it.
But we might also have something a bit more serious, because Sato's mom called him. And
yes, thank you.
About the off meeting. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was, and I feel like that's a conversation that would be worth having.
But it's not.
So,
and they literally did the oh no, loud train sound in the background, you know, kind of thing. That's what it usually is.
Right.
Is two people meet at the station, and then like, oh no, what? In this case,
the secret to defeating the God King is yeah.
I really hope it's not that she's dying.
I don't think it will be.
I think it could be, dude. I really think it could be. I mean, let's say let's have it be something small. Let's say she got fired or something like that. Let's say she's got her own personal problems that she doesn't talk about, and those cause her to get fired. Let's say she drinks or something like that.
Well, you know what I thought it was?
What did you think?
I thought it was that his dad died.
Oh.
And that completely gone out of their lives, so they have no reason to know about how he's doing or whatever, but then they find out when he dies, right?
Oh,
and then that could tie into Misaki with her abusive dad. I'm guessing it's her dad. And that whole Makes situation sense. There. And then also the whole idea of death that was brought in with him almost killing himself.
But what if that was actually the thing as well? Is that the way his dad died?
Oh, that he killed himself?
Yeah. I really like that theory. Yeah. I hope it's not that his mom is dying. That would just cool. Suck. I think really though, if they were wanting maximum drama, though, it's the obvious choice. Like, it painfully obvious, because they made us like her. They made us like her.
They did. Lot. One of the things, and if she's gone, then what does Sato have to sort of tether him to this world, kind of a thing?
It's a thing that would spiral him more into the depression bit, but it's also something that would tie into when she was there last time. She was excited about them building a future together. Yeah, and she's not around to see that.
Oh yeah, well, no, that's a great point. There's so much ammo that they have. If they
set up.
Yeah, because okay, from one standpoint, if she's dying, right, she's gonna want Sato to see her, and she's going to say, "You bring along your girlfriend," you know, and then it's like, "Oh, we broke up." No, say it isn't so, Joe, right? And then
more lies,
right, exactly.
Yep.
In addition, anytime the whole idea of his mom dying and that weakening is tethered to life, right?
Yep.
That also is an opportunity, because it's something that is an incredibly painful moment.
Yeah.
And in those incredibly painful moments, if anyone helps you through that, the bonds between you and that person become a lot stronger. So if it's something where Sato's really not doing well, and maybe he's doing not well enough that he is willing to accept help from someone like, say,
being a little
Misaki.
Vulnerable. Yeah.
Right. He's willing to be a little vulnerable. Now, he absolutely might not do that because he has a certain track record, right?
Yeah, but emotions sometimes can just overtake you.
Yep, it absolutely. Yep. And that introduces ammo and drama on both sides, where we don't necessarily know what's going to happen, because the show can take it whichever direction they want to take it.
If they take it a comedic direction where it's like, no, you're telling me that, like, you spent my wait, what? You got a loan inheritance or something? like I'm trying to think of all the dumb, like, things where it's like, no way, that's not possible, that's so cool, and it's like, you show
no, this isn't gonna be it, but this would be a bad thing. I got involved in a cult. Lost everything.
Oh no. And it's literally the cult.
The exact same.
Yeah, the exact same. Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually has a small percent chance of happening.
Small percent chance, but small. Emphasis
like less
on
than
small.
2%.
Right, exactly.
98% probability that it's something that adds more drama in a way that we predicted previously.
Right.
What about the other 2%? 2% probability she joined a cult and lost everything, and it's tied to
she's sensible enough that she wouldn't
grandparents.
do that. Yeah.
Or a grandma.
Right.
I think that's her. Or was that her aunt? Her great aunt?
I don't know. I think it's her. I'm not sure.
Family member,
but
the point is,
one of the things though that it's just it's tough because after the previous episode, I'm like, all right, awesome, turning point. We'll be on the rise now, right? Like this is like it's going to be a process, but this is going to be things, starting to move in a better direction. And in some ways, it is. It's just
some ways,
but it's an uncomfortable process, right? And that's the whole point of why the process is important. But
love the process.
Yeah, exactly. But oh boy, we aren't in happy times just yet. No, we are not. No, we're not.
Misaki kind of told him about like how she feels like they can just move on from this here, and I kind of like in some ways there were some little visual kind of cues that it's super simple, but it's something that I'm just glad that they did, where they'd showcase her and she hadn't shown her eyes, and then right as she was about to, she holds up the paper blocking their vision from each other, as if she can't even bear to look at him. But it's also a thing of, don't hit me, I have this. Like a don't hurt me, please. Like,
I'm interposing something,
I'm putting something in between us there, and it isn't until after this is all ended in the conversation. Oh yeah, and during that time when she's talking about the house is in the frame of the shot there, but then at the end, when he finally looks into her eyes after she had been done crying, or after she had started to cry actually a little bit, he kind of softens up, and it's kind of that moment where I think they're both being a little bit vulnerable there, just acknowledging their feelings there. Then they showed the cat
that was a great touch.
That was a cool touch.
One of the things that I almost kind of want to have happen is that they don't continue the contract stuff, because now maybe they still do, right? Because that's their way of basically establishing common ground, whatever, right? But the thing is that you can't change the past. You can't. That doesn't work. So the idea of them going back to the way things were, they can't fully go back to the way things were.
No,
but they can go forward to a different tomorrow, right? And choose what that will be.
Okay.
Now, so if they do, which I'm guessing they will, since they didn't contradict that happening right in this episode and it was introduced.
Gotcha.
Is that when they do the meetings will definitely be different, not just from a standpoint necessarily of them feeling different about each other, but what they do with the meetings, right? Because it wouldn't make sense necessarily for her to still be giving him sort of the educational, here's what you do to stop being hikikomori, right?
It's going to be more like a placeholder for their relationship's beginnings.
Right,
it's just them to remind themselves, hey, this is where we started, and look how much better you've gotten.
Right.
Look how much better we've both gotten,
And potentially, hopefully, maybe this is me being too optimistic, but them being able to help each other because again, it doesn't make sense for one of them to just be helping the other, because they're both messed up. They both have a lot of issues.
I think we've realized now is that they don't actually have the capability of helping each other in the innate kind of talent sense, but it is the combination of the two of them together that will end up helping each other.
Right.
Because in some ways they help themselves by doing this thing.
Yes.
And then they themselves help themselves, and then it spills over. It's a relationship. That's how things work. So y'all, this was a great episode. It was painful. It was wholesome. It had all the things I think we would want, but not necessarily expect. And then also a dramatic cliffhanger out of nowhere, which now has me very worried.
Right.
And also hinting and the other stuff with video game items selling as a hikikomori. I'm literally going to have to tell my story about how I took over MMO servers economy with a small elite group of guildmates running
it was pretty impressive.
Running a
just
a really shady economic
they were just well organized
system.
And
and motivated. All right, so y'all, if you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion, check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, stories, whatever. But also one of them, like Jacob's book that he wrote.
That's right. So I wrote a sci-fi novel called Battle Lines. I like it a lot. It's available on Amazon. Link in the description in both hardback and ebook, whichever works best for you. Go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.